Well, I think we're in for a treat this month. We are going to be playing with Gary Zhukov's work that was done a while ago, The Seat of the Soul. And we are starting this month with the topic of evolution. Seeing as how it was the first chapter in the book, it made sense to me to start there. If you look at the synonyms for evolution, they are development, growth, progress, progression, and advancement. What we, in many terms of we think of evolution, is we go back to that theory that we are the survival of the fittest. That's what the evolution is all about, whether it be in humankind, you know, the caveman that had the biggest stick that could ward off the things that came at him, survived. And all the other different life forms, the various life forms as well, and the different species. The ones that were able to change and evolve and grow within the environment that they were in were the ones that kept going in this physical place that we call Earth. Zhukov, he brings up a good point, though, that I wanted us to consider. He says, when perception of the physical world is limited to the 5 sensory modality, the basis of life in the physical arena becomes fear. The power to control the environment and those within it is power over what we can be seen and felt and tasted and heard. This type of power is external power. All of our institutions, social, economic, and political, reflect our understanding of power as external. The perception of power as external has shaped our economics. To protect workers, we have created unions. To protect consumers, we have created bureaucracies in government. To protect the poor, we have created welfare systems. This is a perfect reflection of how we have come to perceive power as the possession of a few, while the majority serve it as victims. Anything we fear to lose, a home, a car, an attractive body, is a symbol of external power. Competition for external power lies at the heart of all violence. So it's very interesting when you stop and think about this consideration of the idea that where power lies is outside of us. And as soon as we drink that Kool-Aid, as soon as we tap into that agreement that power comes from the outside, we naturally go into fear. We naturally go into this state of victimhood. The other way that we're going to be looking at evolution, though, this morning, is the idea that there is a higher path. There is a higher power, what I have mentioned in the thought for the week. We have examples of those individuals who have lived on this earth plane, not demonstrating an evolutionary process from just that physical standpoint. And Zhukov put it this way: our deeper understanding leads us to another kind of power, a power that loves life in every form that it appears, a power that does not judge what it encounters, a power that perceives meaningfulness and purpose in the smallest details of the earth. This is authentic power. We are evolving from 5 sensory humans into multi-sensory humans. That's our evolutionary process right now, is to accept that we are more than this physical being. And I wanted to share with you one of the readings from Opening Doors Within. And to me, it gives you a flavor, I think, of what he's trying to share here. Keep your standards high. The higher, the better. Be not careless or slapdash about anything you undertake. Perfection must always be the aim. It may seemingly be impossible to reach, but nevertheless go on reaching, go on stretching. Never be satisfied with anything mediocre or anything that is done half-heartedly and without love. Let all you do, whatever it may be done to my honor and glory. For when your aim is to do everything for me, your aim will always be of highest value, and you will not be satisfied unless you are giving of your very best. Learn to forget the self in service to others. You will find real joy in giving on every level. Always remember there are many different levels on which you give, from the highest to the lowest, from the spiritual to the physical. Whatever level it may be, give and give wholeheartedly, and you will find that you will give so that you will receive. We are this full, whole being, and when we recognize that, we're able to give from our fullness. I wanted to share with you the fact that we are a tithing church, and we actually gave our tithe a couple months ago to the Findhorn organization, the Findhorn Foundation, which is where this reading and this book comes from. And I wanted to share with you, I had to send them an email because I wasn't sure, it's over in Scotland somewhere, and I wanted to make sure I had the right address. So I went on their website, and I emailed them, sent them a little query on their web, said, what's your right address? I've got money to send you. Thought that would get their attention. So I got this response back that I wanted to share with you. And it said, I had a look at your church website and felt very inspired by your vision and mission. The Living as the Flow event also feels very much in line with what we are working on here. That's our prosperity class. Especially in fundraising as receiving through manifestation. We hold a monthly abundance and prosperity flow meditation to give gratitude for what we have and engage our prosperity consciousness. I thought, that sounds pretty cool. I think when our prosperity class finalizes, we've actually been talking in the class, the students are saying, we want to keep going, we want to keep this. So I'm thinking that maybe we can institute our own monthly prosperity manifestation event. I think that sounded really, really cool to me. So I have said it time and time again, we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. Does anybody remember who actually came up with that quote originally? It's been used so many times. Way before Wayne Dyer. No, Pierre, I always have a hard time saying his name, Teilhard de Chardin. He was the one that formed that quote, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so we are this mixture of the infinite that shows up in this human form with a personality, with a persona. And our personality, this is what Zukov talks about a lot, is our personality is individual. It's what we come into this life with, the way that we express our divine. And it's wonderful. So he says, and that's what got me started on this whole doing this book, is what Oprah quoted on the 21-day meditation, the quote that he said, when the personality comes fully to serve the energy of its soul, that is authentic empowerment. He went on to say, this is the goal of the evolutionary process in which we are involved, and the reason for our being. Every experience that you have and will have on the earth encourages the alignment of your personality and your soul. So to keep that in mind, that we are this dual ball of energy, and that our personality is very important to us, but to recognize that it's the way, the vehicle, the means in which we let this infinite being that we are out into the world, into expression. And, we look at folks that have these beautiful gifts, like our wonderful singer, that can write these beautiful songs and sing these beautiful songs and play these beautiful songs. And yet we know that each one of us has our own unique, guiding, beautiful, pristine light that we shine. And in the 21-day meditation that we've been listening to, it's talking about manifesting our desires, those desires that come in from within us. How do we experience them? How do we let them out? And Deepak, I can't imitate how he says it, but many times he says the world wisdom traditions. I can't say it, but he has that little accent thing where it's kind of difficult sometimes to understand what he's saying. But he's saying the world wisdom traditions is what he's saying. And to me, that's what he's talking about there, I think, is primarily his roots, his background is India. And I think the Hindu the Hindu philosophy, that's not really a religion, has big groups. It has a lot of evidence in the Hindus, in the yogis, that he quotes quite a bit. But he talks about the fact that we have 3 ways that we can demonstrate or experience our desires. And the first one is the recognition that we are pure awareness, okay, that unboundedness of us. And he said, in between each thought is a gap. That is unbounded awareness. That's why he goes on and on and on and on about the value of meditation, where we set aside those thoughts and we hone in on the gap so that we can enlarge our awareness of this infinite being that we are. So the second step that he talks about is, now you know you're infinite. This is you, unbounded awareness. But then the second step is to have focused attention. And it seems oxymoronic in a way. How can you be unbounded and then focused attention? But he talks about the laser beam, and that the laser beam is light, but it's a focused point, and boy, does it have power. Much more than, say, a light bulb does. So when we take our focused attention to our desire, the universe, the energy of the universe, we get its attention. The third way that he says the third step that we lead to is the fact that we are to be aware that once we know what we want and we put a pinpoint energy in there, be flexible. Allow. Be expectant. Know that the universe is responding and that is giving us what we want. It might not be in the way that we expect. Our job is not the how. That's the infinite's job, is to give us the how. And in order to be flexible, in order to be expectant, it takes, I think, a main degree of faith, of just knowing, this gut knowing that I put this out there, it is good, it is for my good, it is for the good of all, and by golly, the universe is bringing it to me. It's funny. So I go to my bookshelf and I open, here's my book, The Seed of the Soul. You see it's dog-eared. And as I opened it, there's this yellow paper tucked inside of it. I thought, what is this? Oh yeah, I borrowed a book from somebody called You Try It by Robert Russell. I have no idea how long ago. I should have, I didn't date it, so I'd love to date things. I didn't date this. I have no idea when I wrote this. But there are a few items in it. As I took page by page, I found page 46, God is greater than the instrument through which he expresses. I wrote down all these little things from the pages. But I wanted to share with you what I found here on faith. Page 105, I know that. Faith is a feeling and a conviction, an acceptance of an idea as real, whether it be positive or negative. What you fear, you have faith in. What thou seest, that thou beest. Dwelling in limitation, shortcomings, errors of others results in your materializing them. What we see in others comes to dwell with us. Expectation is faith in action. Praying without ceasing means carrying faith into action. I keep this handy. There's some other really good things in it. But I wanted to let you know that, to me, I'm just going to share something with you that, what the heck. Many years, I looked at myself and I go, I don't really know what faith is. It was always like a question mark. What does that really mean, faith? I don't know that I have any faith. That was one of those things about me that I thought, it was just this nebulous thing out here. And more and more as I study, this spiritual stuff, it becomes more and more clear to me what faith is. It's that knowing, that trusting, and then letting go of the outcome, letting go of the attachment as the way it has to look. It's interesting, so the first chapter in this book is called Evolution. The second chapter is called Karma. And I want to read you what he says about karma, and then I'm going to share some other information about it as well. He says, souls that have chosen the physical experience of life as we know it, as a path of evolution, have in general incarnated their energies many times into many psychological and physical forms. For each incarnation, the soul creates a different personality and body. From the point of view of the soul, all of its incarnations are simultaneous. All of its personalities exist at once. Therefore, the release of negativity that occurs in one of the soul's incarnations benefits not only itself, but all of its soul's other incarnations also. Because we know what karma is. We've heard it. Oh, better not do that. Karma will come back and bite you. And it's interesting because in so many of these Eastern religions and thoughts are into the reincarnation mentality. And I have never really grabbed that and run with it personally. I think, sure, it's available and it's possible, but I don't really hang my hat on it. So that's why this really resonated with me when he said, souls that have chosen the physical experience as life as we know it, as a path of evolution, in general, incarnated their energies many times into many physical and psychological forms. Well, I can see that. And the thing that souls that have chosen. So to me, it's not all or nothing. Some souls don't choose it. We have choice of whatever we want to do. And that's, I think, why I never really resonated with it wholly, is, some folks think that's the way it is, and that's wonderful. Where we talk about, and I also think it makes a lot of sense that your incarnations are done simultaneously. That is, we're all living in the eternal now, in the present moment. And so our thrust here in this lifetime is to remember what we are. That we are this love, we are this power, we are this peace, we are this presence. And what karma comes into play, of course, is the fact that what we put out, every action, every intention, the intention is what the universe is hearing. And so we want to remember to go back to what is my intention. To look at the bigger, broader picture, to let go of the individual, personalized, tiny self, and to get the bigger picture of the larger me, of the larger self. What am I? What is my being? I am source. I am love. I am infinite energy. I am joy. I am all those things. And when I see with those eyes, what I seest, I beest. To me, that's our goal. And I don't care how many lifetimes you have or how many lifetimes you want to be in. The goal is always to remember to go back to that truth. I think that's why Eileen Cady speaks so much to me, is that she comes from that, or the channeling, the writing that she did, speaks to that overall oneness that we have. And it reminds me of the Brother Lawrence. You know, the Brother Lawrence, when he was doing dishes, how it was just such a way to commune, to honor, that you do everything the best you can, to take the time to worship, to feel that this energy that we are, no matter what it is, I don't care how mundane it is, if we can remember to give our love to it, to give from our fullness of it, it will come back to us as that. Two of the famous quotes from Brother Lawrence that just came to mind that I wanted to share with you are that we ought not be weary of doing little things for the love of God, who regards not the greatness of the work, but the love with which it is performed. And the second one is, there is not in the world a kind of life more sweet and more delightful than that of a continual conversation with God. Those who only can interpret it are the ones who practice and experience it. Pray without ceasing. Whatever we're doing, to be in that mindset, to be in that engulfing of knowing that wherever I am, God is and all is well. You know me, I take a walk almost every day. Well, it's a little challenging in the heat. The other morning I started at 7 o'clock. I got 4,000 steps in at that point before it got hot. But as I leave my house, I have the opportunity to go one of two ways. I can either go to the east and go to Wrightsfield, east is Wrightsfield and the west is Big Red Road. And so depending on, how I feel, I'll go one direction or the other. And I've been there for about a year and a half now. As I go to the east and go to Wrightsfield, there's a house that usually has about 2 or 3 dogs that are out in the yard. And oh boy, do they bark. They bark. This big black dog and a little teeny tiny one, their pitches of range are varying. And then there's the golden, who doesn't hardly ever bark at all. But so I've gotten to know these dogs, and they bark. Well, it's been in my awareness recently that over the last, I'd say 2 or 3 months or so, not that long, instead of this ferocious barking that, they did to protect their territory and whatnot, I now notice that the big black dog, and he was the loudest, instead of barking ferociously, he goes over and he picks up this limp, like rag doll thing or something. And he puts it in his mouth and he's shaking it all around and he's trying to bark, but he's really just saying, "Come play with me." And his tail is wagging. And I've always spoken to them, and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And so I speak to him. I say, "Oh, yes, I know." I said, "But I can't play with you today." And so it's interesting to see the change in their demeanor, knowing they are accepting that I'm not going to be doing anything to them and that they can trust me. And we learn so much from the animals, really, And so many of us, we put off our demeanor initially when we meet someone, we brisk, and whatever, I've got to protect my territory, so to speak. And then what we hopefully are doing, though, is to letting down our guard and knowing that we are all one. That if I am loved, then you are loved, and there's no distinction. Yeah, we're going to show it up differently in our personalities, absolutely. But we are all this one same source of beauty and joy and love and acceptance. Acceptance is the thing that I think really many of us deal with, is that non-judgmental attitude of just letting life be. So I wanted to end this morning with a poem that I found from Jabez. I think it wraps up what I'm trying to convey this morning. I am so glad. Start seeing everything as God, but keep it a secret. Become like a man who is awestruck and nourished, listening to a golden nightingale sing in a beautiful foreign language while God invisibly nests upon its tongue. Jabez, who can you tell in this world that when a dog runs up to you wagging its ecstatic tail, you lean down and whisper in its ear, "Beloved, I am so happy you came to see me. Beloved, I am so glad, so very glad you have come." May we all have that. Namaste.